Hey, this is Clark Wimberly with Envision, and NetMag and Creative Block have invited me here today to talk a little bit about Library, which is the newest tool in Craft. If you've not used Craft, it's an add-on for Sketch with all sorts of neat stuff in there for the modern screen designer. You can grab it free at envisionapp.com/craft. Once you've got it installed, you'll see it over here as a sidebar. If for some reason you're not seeing it show up, you can check this Craft menu item and click Toggle Panel. That should show and hide the bar, and then once you've got that there, we're ready to get started. We're going to start in a document that already has some design done, already has some elements that are ready to share with our team, and that's really what Library is about. It gives you the ability to kind of create a catalog of elements and styles and symbols and share those with your team members through the cloud, and kind of like a repo. When you update one, the others will fall in sync, and it'll keep your designers in sync, let developers create views without having to work too hard, and really just make your design faster and better across the board. So we can go ahead and open up this library panel, and we're going to get started from scratch. And you can see you can import a library, which we'll take a look at later, or you can create a new library, which is what we're doing here. We're going to go ahead and name this Relate. That's the name of this fake app we're playing with. And choose a destination. And here's where some of the magic kicks in. You can save this locally, or you can save it to the cloud. So I'm going to go ahead and use Dropbox. That's something we use all the time. I'm going to put it in our team library folder. That means that anyone that's got access to our Dropbox has access to this library. So you don't have to use Dropbox. You could use Box or Google Drive or anything else, anywhere you stash your files. It's built right on top of the services you already use. So there's not too huge of a learning curve, and there's actually some other really cool benefits, which we'll talk about later. I'm going to go ahead and create that library. You'll see it has a few buckets here already, uncategorized colors and text styles. We're going to go ahead and add a new bucket and start filling it. So with this drop down, we're going to pick new category, and we're going to name it Buttons. And you can see there's a few different types, layers, colors, or text styles. We're actually going to put real elements into this, real groups and layers, so we're picking layers. With that group in place, we can go ahead and add some buttons. Say we have this Go button that we want to give to others. We can select it and then click in here, and it will automatically add it. You can see it's got a thumbnail, and it's got the title, and then a little sync button over here. That's for once you've made changes to it. We'll look at that in just a bit. Let's go ahead and snag up another button. We'll put it in here, we'll click into the panel, and you can see you hover in the dotted area and it says Add Layer. If you click that Add Layer, it's automatically in there. And this button is there for all your teammates now, anyone who's got access to that Dropbox. It's all ready to go. Now let's look at using one of these buttons. Basically, it's a sticker sheet at this point. Say you want to drag one into this artboard, you click in here, you drag the button in, and you drop it where you want to put it. It just places it right away. You can start working with it. It's in your layers. It's really, really easy. As soon as you have a whole bunch of things categorized, it's really just kind of drag and drop, picking the pieces, building out views, and working really efficiently, keeping everything in sync. And of course, Library knows that this button and this button are related. That's kind of the whole point. So say we got some feedback that arrow is too pointy, too tiny. We're going to go ahead and click down in, we'll find that arrow, and we'll get rid of it, and we'll replace it with a big arrow. So now our button has a big, nice arrow that you can't miss. We'll come over here to the panel. We're going to click in and click this tiny little sync button. Once we do that, you'll see the thumbnail update, and then you'll see magically the other instance update. If you're used to working with symbols, this feels probably very familiar to you. Just this is symbols that reach across documents. If our team members had this library added, they would see these changes present in their own libraries. When you first open a file, you'll notice there's a lot of stuff in here that's you need to catalog and share. So we have actually two ways to do that. You'll notice we've been working in a shared library so far. There's also a document level library. This is just the thing that's for you to look at. And when you click this Sync Styles button, you'll get a page in here filled with all the things inside of your file. Every color, every font, every text style, and it looks like a lot, and that's because it is. There's a lot inside of a sketch file. This is a good place to kind of organize. I look at this as staging a little bit, just local to you. You can play with these things and decide when you're ready to go. Like say you decided that the white was a little too bright, and you wanted to change it all to yellow for some reason. You could open this, you could click Sync Styles, and then throughout your document, every single place that used to be white is now yellow. And it's not exactly pretty, but it's just a way to show you what I'm working with here. So we can switch back to our Styles page. We'll reselect that yellow. We'll change it to white. hit enter to make sure it gets it. Then we'll go ahead and sync our styles again. And voila, everything's back to normal. Just an exercise to show how it works. And then as soon as you're ready to commit these colors, say, you know what, yeah, these are the colors we're working with. You can come into the panel, hover on your color palette, and you'll see an option, Add to Shared. If you click this Add to Shared, it's going to go ahead and add these colors right into your shared palette. So back in the main view, there's now a document colors. Each one is labeled. You can even name these colors. So say if you wanted to change the name, you could do that here and resync, and it'll show up. And as you make these changes, your team members will be able to see them live, or well, as quick as your cloud services can update. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Hey, I'm back, and I'm playing the role of a team member now in a shiny new document. And let's go ahead and import that library. This big blue Import Library button, we'll browse to that same folder. This is our Dropbox team library. You'll see this Relate library. Click it and hit Open. And then instantly all those things that have been added in the other document show up in here, ready for me to use. If my team member, aka me in the other space, was to change anything, it would sync through, and vice versa. If I make changes, they'll be reflected back to the other document. So back in our document with some stuff in it, we're going to go ahead and keep adding just so you get the pattern here. We're going to open library. We're going to make a new category called icons. And this is going to give us a collection of icons that we can use in any other screen or in any other file. So we're just going to go ahead and start selecting these individual icons and clicking in and hitting Add Layer. It's going to name them again with a thumbnail and with a preview of what it looks like. As you add things, you can change the view. There's of course rows and then grid. Say if there's a review and you get something called back and we are going to get rid of the heart, you can go ahead and click this edit icon up here. There's this tiny little edit. Click it, you'll get an X. Click the X and poof, that is gone from your library. With great power comes great responsibility, because if you delete it here, you delete it in everybody's library. So be careful when you're deleting. And it's easy to version this, so you could always roll these back if you needed to. If you work at a place that has a lot of different products running, or different versions of the same project over time, maybe it's legacy UI, something like that, the library gives you the ability to manage a bunch of different libraries at once. So you can easily click this folder and jump between any libraries you had added so far. So you can jump into, say, another library that's filled with things. And here's one that's filled with just dozens and dozens of bits and pieces, so you can construct the whole app just by dragging and dropping. One last thing I wanted to look at was grouping. So say if you have a few different states of the same element, say this is active and this is disabled, and you wanted to group those together, you go ahead and hit this edit icon and then just drag them right on top of each other. It'll group them together. So now you can drill down and have a couple elements inside of one container. So it really helps you organize and keep things tidy, especially when you have hover and active states and disabled states, and lots of different ways to kind of show the same element. It's nice to group them together. And that is really the basics of library sharing. Really, it's like everything else you do when you're sharing. You inventory, you document, and you share with your team, and then they in turn use it, inventory, document, and share back with you. It's very similar to code. I consider it a repository, a way to work with others. And then, like I said, the really cool part is that it's built on cloud services that you're already using, so you could pretty much write any kind of hooks into this thing. Say if you wanted to set up Slack notifications, or use the Dropbox alerts, or to tell the developers whenever it's been updated so they know to update their own libraries. Really, you name it. Whatever you want to link to this is very, very possible. If you're trying something crazy and you run into any issues, you can email support@envisionapp.com for personal in-depth troubleshooting. That's something that not a lot of free plugins have, and it's great for really large teams. If you're trying this with a few people, you can email support@envisionapp.com and they can help you through it. So yeah, again, like I said, that's the basics. I'm Clark Wimberly. I'm here with Envision, invited by NetMag and Creative Block to talk about Craft, which you can download at envisionapp.com/craft. Give it a try. Let us know what you think. And thanks for joining me.